doing our practice for the third Yama, which is Asteya, or non-stealing or non-coveting. For our practice today, we're going to focus on some movements that are going to balance the front and the back of the body to create this feeling of being very centered. We'll start out on our mat in child's pose with the arms extended up overhead. As you take your inhale, lift up into sitting, sweep the arms up. We'll bring the hands behind the back, just tenting the fingertips on the floor. Use your inhale to lift into a back bend, lifting your heart and finding some opening in the front of your throat. Sweeping the arms overhead and bowing yourself back down onto the mat into child's pose. Take your inhale, sweep the arms up, come up through sitting. And then once again, arms come behind the back, tent the fingertips. Your thumbs will be out to the sides as you lift the spine into a back bend. That'll give you a deeper sense of opening through the chest and through the shoulders. Coming back up through sitting, sweeping the arms up, waving yourself down. Child's pose. And then we'll inhale, come up onto hands and knees into table. Sending your right leg back and your left arm forward, finding your balancing table. Reaching out through the tips of the fingers and the tips of the toes, feeling length all the way down the spine, down the arm, down the leg. We'll drop that side down. Roll yourself back into child's pose. Take a break there. As you inhale, lift back up into table and we'll go over to the other side. Left leg comes back. Right arm reaches forward. Spread out your fingers and spread out your toes. Create that sense of space and lifting. On your exhale, release that arm and leg down. Bow back into child's pose. We'll lift up through table. Then come back over to the right leg. We'll send the right leg back. And we'll start to pump the leg forward and back. As you inhale, leg goes back, head comes up. Add a little knee bend there for a scorpion position with the leg. And then as you exhale, bend the knee and tuck it underneath the body. Swinging the leg up and back, lifting the chest. Exhale, draw the knee underneath, forehead toward the knee. Inhale, lifting, like you're reaching the toes toward the back of the head. And then drop that right leg down. We'll go right over to the left side. Bring your left leg back. As you exhale, spine rounds, knee tucks underneath. As you inhale, leg goes back long, and then bend your knee, reach your toes toward the back of your head. Exhale the leg under. Inhale, create space in the front of the body, bending the knee. Find that little scorpion position with your leg. And just swinging back and forth like that with a few breaths. Lowering that leg down, coming back to your table. And we'll come up through sitting. Sweep the arms up, and then once again, draw the arms behind the back. Roll the spine into a nice back bend. Lift the chin toward the sky. Back up through sitting. Arms come overhead. Wave yourself down. And as you move forward through table, tuck your toes underneath and start to scoop your hips back and up into downward facing dog. We'll take the right leg back and then stepping it up into a lunge. Inhale, sweep yourself up into a high lunge. Get nice and low in the hips. Spread the fingertips out, create more space through the sides of the body. Then we're going to start to sweep the hands down and bring yourself into a forward bend. Coming down over your front leg. It's like a modified pyramid pose. The back heel doesn't have to be grounded. And you can see here I'm starting to lift my spine up to come out of the pose a few inches. seeing how long I can make that line from the crown of my head back to my tailbone. And then as I exhale, releasing down deeper into the forward bend. And bending the front knee again. We'll step that leg back and up into your three-legged dog. Give a little opening with the knee. Letting your foot dangle behind you so you find that nice stretch through the front of the hip. And then drop that leg back into down dog. We'll swing over to the other side. Lifting your left leg, stepping it up in front. Making that very careful transition into your high lunge. Using your abs to step the foot up there. Take your inhale. Once the foot is up, lift up into your high lunge. Spread the fingers and find space through each rib. Arms come down, framing your front foot. And start to draw the hips back until you come into a forward bend. The front knee is somewhere close to straight. Just make sure it's not hyperextended back. Using your first few breaths just to explore the shape of your spine. You can inhale, lift yourself up higher. Exhale, let yourself sink down into it. I'm trying to find a middle ground there where you're getting a good opening down the back of the leg, but the spine isn't rounded too much. You want to keep some space in the front of the body where you're breathing. And then starting to bend the front knee again, come through your lunge, step that leg back, swing it up into your three-legged dog. Find that very long line through your body. Let your knee bend, and we'll dangle the foot behind us. It's a great way to stretch the psoas and the muscles in the front of our hip flexors. Bring that leg down. Let the knees drop. Come through child's pose. Give yourself a little resting breath. Then we'll come back up into our seated sequence, sweeping the arms up high and then tenting the fingers behind the back. Use that to create this beautiful back bend. Letting the breath roll up into the chest, create space in the front of the throat. Lifting up into seated and wave the arms out front. We'll come up through table, tuck the toes, and let the hips roll back, downward facing dog. Okay, this time swinging your left leg back and bending your knee, coming into a scorpion shape again with that leg. Then tucking the knee underneath your body and carefully stepping it up. Inhale, arms sweep up high, come into your high lunge. As the arms drop down, we'll straighten through the front leg and come into our forward bend, right over the leg. Modified version of pyramid pose. Then bending the front knee again, move through your high lunge. And start to shift your weight onto your front foot. Swing the right leg up behind you into a nice strong warrior three. Starting with the arms right along the sides of the body. And starting to pivot yourself up into standing. Reaching back, catching your right foot. We'll come into position for dancer. Left arm is out front to balance you. And then hinging forward on the hip, any amount that you feel like you can come forward and maintain your balance. Keeping a very strong connection to your standing leg. Trying to plant that foot down into the earth. With an inhale, come back up into standing. Swing the leg back, go right through your warrior three again. Find balance and stability here. As the hands come down, very gently drop the back leg right through your high lunge. And we'll swing the front leg back into a three-legged dog. Roll forward into that scorpion plank. Back through three-legged dog. And release the leg down. Child's pose for a resting breath. Inhale up through seated. As the arms drop down, swing them behind the back, tent the fingers. Find that beautiful back bend. Letting the breath roll up into the space around your heart. Arms come back up. Drop the palms down, lifting through table. Tuck the toes underneath. Downward facing dog. And then we're going over to the other side. So swing the right leg up. Move forward into that scorpion plank. Knees bent, toes reaching toward the back of the head. And then bring that back into three-legged dog. Tuck the knee underneath as you step up. We'll get ready for our balancing sequence on the other side. Lifting up into your high lunge. Fingers spread. Feel the grounding down through the pelvis to get a nice sturdy lunge. We move into our forward bend, that modified version of pyramid pose, where the back heel can stay up. Finding that perfect shape with your back, where the hips are slightly tipped forward. That'll create space down the back line of your leg. But you're not so rounded through the spine that you're closing off your space that you have to breathe. Try to keep some openness in the front of the body. Bending into the front knee. Shifting your weight forward. So now we come through our warrior three on this side. Arms right back by the sides. Ground down through the standing foot. And start to lift yourself up. You're hinging from the hip to come up into standing. Catch your back foot and start to prepare for your dancer pose on this side. Right arm extends out in front. You start that pivoting, reaching yourself forward. Drawing your foot back to lift your chest farther, keeping your breath smooth and steady. As you inhale, start to hinge yourself back up. Now don't touch that foot just yet. Swing it behind you and find your warrior three again. It's a tricky transition there without putting the foot down. Now we'll start to drop the hands, drop the back leg, come through your high lunge. And then the front leg, the right leg is going to swing back and up, three-legged dog. Roll forward into sort of a plank position with the back, with a raised leg in that scorpion. And then back into your three-legged dog. Let the right leg drop down, bend the knees. Child's pose to rest. Inhale to seated in hero pose. As the arms drop back, tent the fingers onto the floor. Roll into your back bend, space in the front of the body. Feeling this balance, the forward bends. We're trying to find that evenness, open through the front of the body, open through the back of the body. Take the arms up, and we'll draw prayer to our third eye. Thank you so much for joining me on this practice of Asteya. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time for our fourth Yama practice. Namaste.